because Oklahoma absolutely sucks in just about every category you can think of when it comes to anything as far as education, infrastructure, healthcare. Yeah, Oklahoma is just a complete shit show.
There's no perfect state. Oklahoma, hold my beer. The super funny implication being that because every single county in Oklahoma went red, that they're the perfect state. And it is true, every single county went red in Oklahoma. Do you guys want to know some other fun facts about Oklahoma? Their teen pregnancy rate is 116% higher than the one in California. Their infant mortality rate is 66% higher. Their overdoses from drugs are 14% higher. The gun death rate is 130% higher. The suicide rate is 106% higher. And the murder rate per capita is 40% higher. Oh, and life expectancy is 6 years shorter in Oklahoma. Now, if you want to talk about something being perfect, I don't know if any of these things make me look at Oklahoma and go, yeah, that's it. And what honestly just sucks the most is that all of these numbers represent real people that are going to be facing devastating consequences because other people just didn't give a shit and voted for people who make this a reality.
Hey, real quick, to the almost 250,000 Oklahomans who are about to lose their Sooner Care, I want you to know that it was Republicans that did that. Okay, 3 times House Democrats were trying to save your health care. We're trying to save Medicare, Medicaid, and Sooner Care for Oklahomans. And 3 times Republicans voted against it. Okay, they wanted to put an amendment that says, hey, if you make $10 million or more, then you don't get a tax break, and that will help save health care for Americans. And House Republicans voted no. And then they tried again. They said, hey, people making $500 million or more, how about we not give them a tax break and save Americans Medicare and Medicaid and your Sooner Care? And they voted no. Republicans unanimously voted no to not save your Sooner Care. Oh, and then they tried a 3rd time to try to save you and your health care, and House Republicans voted no. They voted no because they wanted to give billionaires who already have enough money to spend $1 million a day for the next 500 years. But no, they need more money. They need more money. You don't need your health care. You don't need it. You don't need health care. Who needs health care? Those billionaires deserve another tax break. They deserve that money because they worked hard. They worked for that tax break. You obviously didn't work. That's why you don't get your health care. So anyway, when you lose your health care, when you lose your Sooner Care, you can thank Republicans for that. So when they start kicking out old people and they start not accepting old people in the nursing homes because they don't have those benefits anymore, again, I want you to thank Republicans for this because this is what you voted for. This is what you voted for them to take away your Sooner Care, for them to take away your Medicare and Medicaid. Because what's more important, the American people being happy and healthy or billionaires getting tax breaks? The answer is billionaires getting tax breaks. That's what's more important to our politicians in this country. So just so you know who to blame when you lose your health care, may you have the day you deserve.
The state of Oklahoma is now going to require new teachers to prove that they're loyal to Donald Trump before hiring them. Yeah, this is how crazy these MAGA lunatics are in the state of Oklahoma. Teachers from California and New York who want to work in Oklahoma public schools will be required to pass a certification test to prove that they share the state's conservative political values. Regardless of the subject or grade they teach, they'll have to show they know the biological differences between male and females and that they agree with the state's American history standards, which includes elements of a conspiracy theory that the 2020 election wasn't fair. They say that New York and California are teaching things that are, quote, antithetical to our standards. So I guess the standards in Oklahoma is conspiracy theory. And as has been pointed out correctly, Oklahoma currently ranks 50th last in education among U.S. states, 49th in ACT, 45th in SAT scores, 48th in reading, 44th in math, 46th in dropout rates, and more. So maybe Oklahoma should be focused on trying to make their education system better and actually help kids to read and do basic math instead of doing these dumb political litmus tests.
Oklahoma is a perfect example of how politics can become more about identity and loyalty rather than results. And for decades, many voters have continued to support leaders who promise change, and yet their everyday struggles remain the same. And the question today is this: why do people keep defending the system that doesn't seem to improve their lives? So let's have a look. Please like and hype the video and let me know your thoughts in the comments, alright? Let's get into it.
The biggest con the government ever pulled on us was to convince us to work 40 plus hours a week, 5 days a week for 50 years, spending no time with your friends, your family, your passions, or your children, all to retire with a social security check that isn't even enough to pay 1 month's rent. The truth is we are all slaves to the system, yet they distract us with entertainment and games and overwhelm us with the fear cycle so that we just put our heads in the sand and continue to work, continue rushing around in life, never having a moment to look up and realize that we are all slaves in the system. A system that convinces you to work the majority of your life away, never spending time with your family, your children, and if you're lucky, retire at 65. And if you're even luckier, you get 1 more decade before you succumb to a lifetime of working. All so that a few powerful white men at the top get wealthy beyond belief so that they can live like gods amongst men. And then they accomplish this by convincing half the population that the oppressed minority is the reason your life is hard and not the wealthy minority, which is actually the reason for your struggles and pain. Your enemy is not your neighbor. Your enemy is not an immigrant. Your enemy is not someone with a different religion. Your enemy has always been and will always be the rich and powerful who pit us against each other so that we never rise up to overthrow the con men in business suits. Until women have true equality and true power over their own bodies, until native treaties are honored, until the mass thugs kidnapping and killing our people on the streets are brought to justice, until the Epstein files are released fully unredacted, so long as our tax dollars are spent on bombing children in the third world, so long as the modern day slavery in the form of the prison industrial complex is still standing, and so long as the military industrial complex takes priority over the well-being of our fellow Americans, I say we call for revolution. Thank you all so much for having me.
Oklahoma being 49th in education is not an accident, by the way. They want us to be too uneducated to question their leadership or authority, and too ignorant to vote in our own best interests. This is by design, and it is working exactly as intended. Raising the minimum wage would have hurt no one who didn't already deserve to be checked. If you can't afford to pay your employees a livable wage, you do not deserve to own a business because you are running an unethical and unsustainable business model. And if a business pays their employees minimum wage, they might as well be telling their employees that if it were legal to do so, they would be getting paid even less than that. What the fuck are we doing, electing these people that don't give a fuck about us?
As somebody who lives in a red state, let me just tell you what MAGA supermajorities get you. We're 50th in education, the worst in the whole country for women to live. We're poorer, worst health care. And if you look at the bottom 10 states in the United States of America, they are all MAGA supermajorities. These policies hurt people. They use people's faith to lure them in and say, oh, we're family values, but then they don't vote to help women have children. They don't vote for health care. They don't vote for child care. They demean the poor. I live in a red state where these policies, Oklahoma, and these policies have horrifically impacted people in rural America that vote for this very party because they weaponize their faith and lure them in.
In the 2024 U.S. presidential election, only 2 states voted unanimously, and what a difference in outcome. And while this video sounds political, it is not, so bear with me. Every single county in Oklahoma voted Republican, and every single county in Massachusetts voted Democrat. Oklahoma ranks near the bottom in education, healthcare, and quality of life. Massachusetts ranks near the top in education, healthcare, and quality of life. So, why is one group of people actively choosing a worse life for themselves and the other a better life for themselves? Well, not surprisingly, it comes down to culture. So if you're an American, put politics aside for a moment and check this out. Mary Douglas, a cultural anthropologist and social theorist, helps explain why these 2 groups of people see the world so differently. Oklahoma fits her hierarchical worldview. People want authority and tradition to keep order. Change or anything different is dangerous. Massachusetts fits the egalitarian worldview. People want collaboration and reform. Change and different ideas are desirable. Hofstede, the cultural theorist, would describe Oklahoma as achievement-oriented, a culture of competition. There, people value strength, loyalty, and winning. You prove your worth by enduring, not by changing. Losing means weakness. Well, in Massachusetts, it fits Hofstede's nurturance orientation, a culture that values people, cooperation, and education. You prove yourself there by helping everyone get better, not by beating your opponents. It's the rising tide lifts all ships mentality. So, Oklahoma votes to preserve the system, even if it makes people's lives worse. Massachusetts votes to improve the quality of life. Both groups are protecting their way of life. They just have a different cultural perspective of what life is. And this is one of the great things about the United States. Individuals get to choose which state they live in. And if you had a choice, would you prefer Oklahoma's hierarchical worldview or Massachusetts' egalitarian? Let us know in the comments and join us at culturalperspective.com for more cultural perspective.
America's not failing because of Trump. It's failing because you don't want to lose your couch. You know what I think the Trump and the Republican Party are actually betting on? Not the courts, not even election, not even the lies. I think that they're betting on you. I think that they're betting that no matter whatever happens, when push comes to shove, you're going to do what's necessary to hold on to your little bit of crumbs no matter what. Because let's be honest, people care more about their position in the hierarchy than the fact that the hierarchy even exists. You'll fight your neighbor over a parking spot, but you won't fight your government when it steals from you in broad daylight. You're mad, so you say, but you're not really mad enough to do anything. And see, they know that. They know that most people would rather hang on to the little bit of scraps that they have than risk those scraps to push back against something. That house you still paying the bank for, that car note, those clothes, that jewelry, all of that stuff keeps you in check more than any law ever could. And here's the irony. The same system that you claim is broken, you're still loyal to it. You'll complain about it, sure.
Oklahoma child marriage ban. 36 MAGA Republicans in Oklahoma voted against a ban for child marriage. What? Yes, 36 MAGA Republicans in the State House of Representatives in Oklahoma voted against a ban of allowing children to get married in Oklahoma. What the hell? Yeah, they did. It passed the Senate in Oklahoma unanimously. It's Senate Bill 504. But when it came to the Oklahoma House of Representatives, it did finally pass 51 to 36, with 36 MAGA Republicans voting against the child marriage ban. Now, why would MAGA Republicans vote against a child marriage ban? Really? Yep, same reason we can't get these Epstein files out, I guess. I don't know. But somebody in Oklahoma needs to be asking this question. Who have y'all elected? Really?
Well, the Oklahoma governor just announced a new program for his public schools called Classroom to Careers, which sounds great, doesn't it? Except here's how it's going to work. If you want to graduate high school in Oklahoma, the only way that you can qualify to graduate is if you, 1, get accepted into a university, 2, if you can't get accepted into a university or can't afford to go to a university, you have to get into a trade school or a technical college. And if you don't want to do that or cannot do that either, compulsory military enlistment. Ask me if there are any exceptions for students with special needs in this program currently. No, there are not. If you're sitting there thinking, what's wrong with you? I don't understand the problem with this. This is just preparing students for their future to make sure that they have a job when they graduate high school. You need to step back and think about some of the implications that a program like this brings along with it. You want your kid to get into a university so they can qualify for graduation? Oh, but you can't afford it? Too bad. There's no FAFSA anymore. There's no Pell Grants anymore. There are no opportunities for your child to be afforded some kind of financial assistance now that the Department of Education is gone. You have a kid that's bright, hardworking, smart, well-deserved of a college education and can't afford it. That's too bad. Their next option is trade school or technical school. You know what? Acceptance into trade school and technical school isn't free either. You can't afford that either. Too bad, so sad. I guess your kid is going to be in the Navy now. All those children that do not have the capacity to do any of those things, what about them? Something about that smells like institutionalization and forced labor to me. What if your kid wants to be an independent artist or musician or go to Hollywood to try and make it in movies or television or be an entrepreneur with a little bit of money they saved up? All of that is off the table unless you're a 1%er. School choice, parental rights, all that's a myth to earn your vote. They lied to you.
Well, if you can't tell from the hair, it's been a very rainy day here in Oklahoma, and actually we were without power most of the day, so kind of just been hanging in the hammock chair all day, to be honest. Let's talk about what's happening right now. I am seeing a lot of talk by Republicans against their Republican candidates. One of their Republican candidates for superintendent of education here in Oklahoma, Robert Franklin, who is a phenomenal educator, teacher, principal, superintendent. He has everything that we want. I mean, if you're looking at somebody from a business perspective, he is the most qualified. And because educators are talking about him and saying, this is who we need, Republicans in this state are losing their freaking minds over it. I really don't understand it, other than to say that the most extreme Republicans in the state of Oklahoma hate public education and want it destroyed. I also want to talk about what just happened with the decision with Olmsted, saying that we don't have to provide people with disabilities proper help within their own communities, meaning they can now institutionalize them if they want to. Okay? Now, if you don't think that's coming for special ed soon, please know that it is. I mean, the Department of Education is already trying to destroy the Department of Education. They've already moved things to the Treasury. They've already moved things to the Health and Human Services. You guys, our kids are not patients when they're out of school. They're a student. And putting IDEA, which is special education law, putting that under Health and Human Services is a slap in the face of disability advocates and people with disabilities. So if you are not paying attention, and apparently you are not, because we couldn't even get the Democrat that was most qualified out of his primary. Okay, riddle me that. If you're not paying attention to what's happening to education in this country, just know that in another 10 years, it's going to be gone, and we're going to have kids working in factories again because they think that's where poor kids belong. And our special education kids, they just won't receive an education. I'm not making it up. I'm not being ridiculous. This is happening. It's happening one step at a time.
A government success should not be measured by how many political slogans it creates or how loyal people remain to the party. It should be measured by how the lives of ordinary people actually improve. Are families able to afford healthcare? Are communities getting proper infrastructure? Are the people finding opportunities to actually build better life? Because when the people are struggling, the responsibility of the leaders is to address those struggles, and not to put the blame onto another group, while avoiding accountability. One of the challenges in politics today is that people make decisions based on identity, emotion, fear, or even loyalty, rather than examining policies and outcomes. People naturally want to feel represented. They want leaders who share their values, their beliefs, and their culture. But the representation should not stop at making people feel heard during the election. It should also mean improving their lives after the elections. Because a politician can give powerful speeches during the campaign, they can make promises, they can build an emotional connection with the voters, but after the campaign is over, the test now begins. Did they improve education, Did they create opportunities? Did they invest in my communities, Did they make life affordable for everyday person? Because at the end of the day, a family struggling to pay bills does not benefit from the political arguments. A student sitting in an underfunded school, they don't benefit from endless culture wars. A person struggling to access affordable healthcare does not benefit from being told who to blame, instead of being offered solutions. But the problem becomes when the leaders maintain support by keeping people divided or even angry. And then when people stay divided, they spend more time fighting each other instead of focusing on questioning leaders, and the decisions they make. And that's how the problems keep occurring year after year. But the power of democracy, people have the power to demand better results, They have the power to hold leaders accountable. Supporting a political party should never mean giving leaders a free pass, Every voter, regardless of where they live or what political party they support, they deserve leaders who actually take their struggle seriously, They deserve leaders who focus on education, healthcare, infrastructure, and a better future for their future generations. So thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.